Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7 and today we are taking a look at the Knife Standards RR3, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry. This knife did come from the Lefty Pass-Around group. It is not mine to keep, and it will go back to the Lefty Pass-Around group after my review. The OEM for this knife is Best Tech, and this was designed by Knife Standards. This knife has a little bit of a story to it. I'm not going to do it justice, but essentially, Knife Standards and his father had a shared relationship over knives. And Knife Standards started, sketching and drawing, knives of his own design. He didn't really have any intention of getting anything produced, but whenever he showed his sketches to his father, his father said, "Great, you have a knife design of your own. Stop worrying about everybody else's." And a few weeks after that, his father passed. So Knife Standards decided that he was going to carry on that relationship with his father through knife making. And his father had a love for trains too. So that speaks to why we have the specific shape that we do, why we're a little more rectangular than we are rounded. But it just goes to show you what somebody can do whenever they are motivated to do it. Whenever they're willing to see something through to the end, right? And I don't know him personally, but I can say that one hell of a way to keep your father's memory alive. So I just think that's really cool. But as far as first impressions go, and don't get me wrong, that story is not going to change how I review this knife. Regardless of the knife itself, it's a very inspiring story. Now, just upon first looks, initially, it doesn't look like the knife's going to be comfortable. I do love the aesthetic, though. I like the one strip of carbon fiber. I think that looks really clean. I like that we've got 3 clear sections with this like orange peel textured titanium. It's really nice, really classy touch. You can't feel the transition between the titanium and the carbon fiber. So if my eyes were closed, I would just assume that it was well, technically you can't feel a transition, but this feels like orange peel and this feels smooth. So I would know there was something different there, but it's not because it isn't a smooth transition. We have the logo RR right there, so very classy. T8 hardware for everything. So body screws, pocket clip screws, all T8. We do have a reversible wire clip. Now, some people don't like wire clips. I think on this design, it looks fantastic. I think it's excellent. And functionally, I prefer wire clips over stamped clips or milled titanium clips. I just feel like they're easier in and out of the pocket. He does have titanium pocket clips for sale separately if you wanted to pick one up. For those of you that like really care about that, and that's fine. But if you don't, then it comes standard with this reversible deep carry wire clip. We don't have a backspacer. We have a single standoff, which can also be used as a lanyard loop. And then we've got some pretty generous milling on the inside to help with weight reduction. Now, as far as ergonomics, I was kind of alluding to it earlier, how, it's more rectangular than anything. So it didn't look like it was going to be comfortable. The edges are smoothed out a little bit. We do have a little bit of, kind of chamfering on the corners up here. None of the points are pokey. right? I can go to each thing that would be considered a point, and none of them are particularly like, intrusive or painful. And the neutral ergos with this finger grip, this actually feels more comfortable than most knives. Even if I'm squeezing, like if I'm white knuckling it, this knife is very ergonomic. It's just kind of melting into my hand. I'm not sure why it's working that way, but it feels really, really good, even with a super, super tight squeeze. I mean, you can see like I'm white knuckling it literally, and I can still say with confidence, I'm not getting any hot spots. The pocket clip's fine. No edges are sticking into me. The knife just feels fantastic in hand. Now it is weighty feeling. It definitely has some heft to it. I want to say it's probably butt heavy. Yeah, so we are about an inch back from where we would be if the knife was perfectly balanced. But it's not so heavy that it's like cumbersome. And one thing I will say is that because you have the heft back here on the handle, and you don't have any in the front, I feel like it gives you more control over that tip. Because if you're locked in back here, then the weight's locked in, right? So then whatever you do with your hand is going to extend to the tip, and it's just going to make it easier to do some of those precision cuts, some of those draw cuts, and things like that. So I think it is butt heavy, but I think in this case it works out pretty good. We do have jimping, and as Knife Standards is a YouTuber and handles thousands of knives, he did give us functional jimping, which means that you can dig in here and it's not painful, but it does do a good job of keeping you locked in place. As far as the blade goes, we don't have any billboarding on the front. On the back, we have at the very bottom, it says Vanax. We have I'm going to say a drop point blade, really generous belly. We've got a belt satin finish. We've got a full flat grind. And his website actually lists the HRC as 60 to 61. My understanding of Vanax is that its properties are maximized at 60. So if 60 is the low end, then regardless of like whatever knife you get with a 60 HRC on Vanax, you should be getting the maximum performance that it's built for. So Vanax Super Clean has unbelievable corrosion resistance. It's got average toughness, and it's got average. I completely forgot what the other one is, but it's basically average across the board, except it's 10 out of 10 compared to all other blade steels as far as corrosion resistance goes. So like you could take this swimming in the ocean, you could take this out camping, stick it in the mud. You would be hard pressed to get any sort of corrosion on this blade, right? So for the people that need that, that's fantastic. I mean, yeah, that means it's a little more specialized, but if you're living somewhere or you're doing a job where, that you corrode knives or you rust them out, this would be a perfect way to avoid that. Now, as far as the detent goes, for me, the detent's a little light. And how I determine that is can I fail it? So if I go from the thumb stud and I just barely push, I can fail it. If I go to front flip and I barely push, I can fail it, right? With that being said, though, if you put any effort forth, if you're not trying to fail it, you're not going to fail it. Right? The detent is clicky, it's snappy. I do wish it was a little more stout. Like I wish there was a little more resistance. But I think the reason there's not is so people can access that front flipper, right? I mean, even people that aren't good at front flippers are going to be able to get a hold of this and just get it out there, right? You can slow roll it. Listen to this. Very satisfying slow roll. Very satisfying acoustics on that slow roll. And then on the drop, you've got this very nice, very controlled shake shut drop. And even a nice little click whenever it's closed. Yeah, overall, the action on this knife is really good. It's my preference to have a stronger detent, but that's subjective. So if you just want something that you can fidget with, multiple forms of deployment, this is going to be great for it. I think I can even do the upside down reverse. Yeah, I can. Upside down reverse ninja. You just flip the knife. Nope. Oh, that one's on me, not on the knife. Nope. There it is. Okay. I should have just left it at the one I did good and not gone back to do it 5 more times and screw it up. But this is a liner lock. And the benefit to that is that it is lefty friendly. Now, I don't do anything lefty. I don't practice flipping knives lefty. I don't flip knives lefty for fun. The only time I ever flip knives lefty is when you see me do it in these videos. And the reason I do it that way is because if I can operate it left-handed, then a left-handed person can easily operate it left-handed. So I'm getting all my deployment methods out. You know, I can fidget with the knife easily, and with the reversible pocket clip and the symmetrical look, yeah, this is lefty friendly all day long. Your liner lock access, you can see we've got a nice little scoop in there. It's delightful, very easy to disengage, and with it having that really controlled drop, I mean, this part of the blade is what lands on your finger, but you know, you're not rushing out of the way, right? Like it's naturally stopping right there. I can come out and just shake it shut. So yeah, overall, I would give this really high marks for action. It's very satisfying to use. For me personally, a little more detent, it would be perfect. Now, overall length is 7.4 inches with a blade length of 3.2 inches. And that gives us a blade to handle ratio of 0.76, which is much better than we normally get. Around 0.8 is whenever you see that 50-50 blade to handle ratio, or the illusion of it. At 0.76, you know, we're still, like, it looks pretty good as far as, you know, that 50-50 split. But you can tell, like, there's no illusion that the blade and the handle are the same length, right? Like, you can tell they're not. So for me personally, I like to have that illusion. I want to look at it and think, wow, that is an actual 50-50, right? So let me see if I've got something here. Okay, here we go. This is what a 50-50 would look like, right? I believe this is a 0.8. So you can kind of see it looks like they're about the same size, even though they're not. The handle's still longer than the blade. It just gives that illusion. But overall, 0.76 isn't bad. And then for weight, we've got about 4 ounces. So that's a little bit heavier than the 1 inch of blade to 1 ounce of weight. But, I mean, 4 ounces is going to be on the heavier side of a daily carry. So, like, I wouldn't wear this in gym shorts if I'm going on a jog. I mean, this is not going to be the knife that I grab. I grab something, you know, probably closer to 2.5 ounces. But if you're just going about your day, you're wearing jeans, you know, you're not running around and it's not bouncing all over the place in your pocket, then this is going to be perfectly fine, right? 4 ounces isn't bad at all. Let's do a size comparison. What do we have up here? We're going to put this against We'll put it up against the Berg Blade full-size Sweeney. We'll put it up against the Wee Kite Fin. So it's about the same as the Kite Fin. It's definitely shorter than the Sweeney. There we go. And then we're going to put it up against the Mini Momo. Pretty close to the Mini Momo. A little bit longer. And then we're going to put it up against the Kubi Velvet Snake. And the Velvet Snake is dwarfing it by a fair amount. So like I said, I mean, it's only 7.4 inches. By no means is it a, a large or even a full-size knife. 8 inches being, what I think most people would consider a full-size knife. What's the price on this? Well, this comes in at $350. That is not a small amount of money. 350 bucks is a lot. Why are we at 350 bucks? Well, and is it worth it? Well, there's a few things to consider. One, we have Best Tech OEM. Best Tech, to my knowledge, is the most expensive OEM as far as Chinese OEMs that we have access to in the US. They're more expensive than Riyadh. Not only that, but we also have Vanax for our blade steel, properly heat-treated Vanax at that. Vanax is one of the most expensive blade steels that you can put on a knife. I mean, it blows Magna Cut out of the water as far as how expensive it is, right? So whenever we take Best Tech manufacturing, properly heat-treated steel, and Vanax, whenever you combine those things, 350 is actually a really aggressive price point, right? Because this same knife could easily get closer to $375, $400, right? So 350 bucks, while it is still a lot of money, is going to be fair for what you're getting with this knife. Now, would I carry it? So my time with this knife, I've enjoyed quite a bit. I mean, the only real gripe I have is that I wish the detent was a little bit stronger, but the geometry of the blade is incredible for slicing. It has a generous belly for being a drop point, but you still have a nice and robust tip. So the functionality of this knife is crazy good. There wasn't a single thing that I ran into that I was like, ugh, this is going to be a pain, right? Like, I've got different types of knives, and, sometimes, I go into something knowing like, okay, I don't really have the knife for this, but, it'll get the job done. But with this one, no, I didn't. I mean, it did everything I needed it to: cut rope, cut boxes, cut paper, and it was perfectly capable. And a lot of that does come from the full flat grind, right? I mean, the geometry of this blade's excellent. So I would absolutely carry it. I also am a fan of the styling of it. I like that it doesn't look like everything else. It's minimalist to an extent, but it's got this nice pop of fat carbon fiber. I like the ergonomics of it. And I like that with the weight being back heavy or butt heavy, I feel like I have maximum control up front because there's virtually no weight, in the front of the knife. So yeah, absolutely, I would carry it. I think this knife has personality. I think it has a cool story to it. But even minus the story, I still think it's an excellent knife. The only thing is I just wish the detent, I wish I couldn't fail it, even if I tried. That would be my only wish. That's the only feedback I have for it. Otherwise, yeah, fantastic. Now, would you carry this knife? Drop a comment below. Let me know if this knife has a spot in your daily carry. Does it have a spot in your collection? If it does, then the link for the knife is going to be down in the description. I don't get anything if you use the link. I'm just putting it there for your convenience. And if you like this review, then hit the like button. Please subscribe if you want more videos like this. And you can follow me on Instagram. That'll be linked down in the description. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you, and until next time.